Pretty.
Perfect. So we're talking a little bit about, like we said, we're going to do a really targeted group of people. And so we're going to take 50 to 75 people, and I'll talk about who those are going to be and kind of what you can use to determine so that you have kind of the best group of people instead of just kind of grabbing, 50 to 75 people and thinking, all right, well, I'm going to just kind of putter around and talk to these people. So you're going to be doing phone calls, texts, all of your social media interaction. You want to do pop buys, personal notes. You want to ask for reviews. You want to get the Better Homes and Gardens brand out there so that you're not bugging them all the time also. And then you also want to get your website and your app out there as well. So before you do anything, this is going to be very, this is going to be kind of more high level versus very specific things to do, because we have to kind of start at the beginning. And so that means we need to know all of our logins. We need to update our website, our agent website. We need to have our note cards ready. We need to have them stamped in the car with a pen and paper. You need to download all of the things that you're going to need. So download your Zap app, download Canva. If you haven't already, download Dotloop, which is probably not what we'll necessarily be talking about here, but it's always good to have. And also, you guys have heard me talk a lot about vanity domains, so I'm going to get a little bit on my soapbox about having those vanity domains, why they're important, and how you can get them. So I use GoDaddy a lot because it's kind of been around forever, and I've figured out how to do, through their clunky site, how to assign and revamp everything. So a vanity domain is essentially the shorter version and the more memorable version of a website that directs to another website. So our websites with Zap, that's our Better Omaha agent website platform, those are very, 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 very long. They're about this long, and they have different characters, names, slashes, dashes, and everything else. Now you can share that directly, but it's a lot easier if you have something to remember. For example, LeslieSellsOmaha.com. That's a lot easier to remember than bhdre.com/betteromaha//Leslie/HTTPS, all these things, right? So if you go to GoDaddy, and they're relatively inexpensive, so go to GoDaddy.com, create an account, and just start trying to see if there's anything available that ties in with your name, real estate, or anything else that speaks to you. I always also recommend getting your vanity domain as your name, so just LeslieDollinger.com, because you can always redirect multiple vanity domains to the same website. So you've got your anchor, which is our Zap site, and then you have vanity domains that will essentially point those there. So if you get that, give me a call or shoot me an email, because it takes me about 2 minutes to just get that set up and directed for you versus kind of 15 minutes of describing how to do it. The other thing I love about vanity domains is that you can do subdomains. And so what a subdomain is it's tied to that original vanity domain, but it's another name and it ties somewhere else. So for your app, you do have a phone app, it's branded, it's beautiful, it looks great, and it's easy to send if you have a vanity domain. So let's take, for example, that LeslieSellsOmaha.com. What I would do is create a second subdomain, and it would be app.LeslieSellsOmaha.com. You can do info.LeslieSellsOmaha.com. You can do hello. You can do whatever. You could do relocation. You could do military, any of those things, and you can direct to specific places. So for these purposes, we talk about having one that's just your core, that's your website, and then a secondary one that's for your app. So again, if you don't have one, send me your information once you purchase it. They're really relatively inexpensive. I've seen them as low as $5 for 2 years, all the way up to, I think the highest one I saw was maybe $75 for 2 years. So it's a really cheap way to brand yourself. Then you can put that on your business cards, on your Facebook, your Instagram, when you're talking to people, save it in your phone. So if you're out and about and somebody's messaging you ready to look for homes, you don't have to wait to send them any information. You can send them and say, hey, download my app and start looking around, and I'll set up a search for you later. Any questions on that? I kind of go on a soapbox on vanity domains. I think most of you guys have anybody that's probably had a training with me that's either Greenhouse or Zap probably is tired of me talking about it, but I just think that it's so important because it's a really easy way to direct your marketing. Here's some of the links. So I'll send this out afterwards, but you want to have Zap downloaded to your phone because, or your CRM. So I'm going to focus a lot on Zap for this one because that's the one that's included with our brand, and that's the one that has our agent website as well. So when I'm talking about Zap, if you're not a Zap user, just think of that as your alternate CRM. So you want to have that on your phone because when you're making these calls and we're on our phone when we're on social media anyways, you want to have that app so that you can quickly pop into that contact and then add your notes about when you talk to them and what the conversation was like. You also want to know your Greenhouse login. So Greenhouse is going to be the same login as your Zap. If you forget either one of those, go back to the Greenhouse and have those reset. Greenhouse is going to be where you have a lot of our branding tools. There's that social media toolkit, that's the next one over. You can find that there, or you can do that direct link here. And it also has the brand ID guide. And then also we have a lot of different things within our marketing group, or within, I'm sorry, our intranet, which is thegoodlifegroup.com. We have a lot of different marketing shop items. The other one that I didn't put on here is Canva. So I use Canva a lot. We've been using it even more. And again, if you've taken any of my trainings, you're probably tired of me hearing about me talking about Canva. But it's very easy to create social media posts from Canva as well. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about who our focus group of people is. So again, I'll send out that, that link or that PDF that has kind of all of those quick links so that you don't have to write them down if you want to just kind of blaze through. So what we're going to do is we are going to talk about 50 to 75 people that we want to focus on. So your first group is going to be your top 25 people. These are the people that you've either worked with that have referred you, or friends and family that you know would use you if they were going to buy or sell. These are all of the people that are in your core group that you know you're going to get business from. And we already know why we do this, because they already love and know you. So you want to be top of mind for when they are either thinking about moving or when their friends or their coworkers are talking about moving. You want to be top of mind without being super annoying, right? And then this middle group here is a make a move. So pick 25 people that you think could potentially be moving. Now, you can find these through a few different ways, right? If you've been in the business long enough and you have clients that have bought within the last 5 to 10 years, you're going to want to go back and start focusing on those people. And then you're also like, go through all of your social media. So see if anybody is getting married or had a baby or kids just moved out. Those are the people that are kind of giving those pre-indications that they might be moving within the next year or so. So you want to be hitting those people more regularly so that you are top of mind when they're ready to go. You can also provide them valuable items that can help them kind of if they're thinking about moving. The other thing too is that if you don't have a super strong database, or if you don't have enough people to kind of fit that people that might be moving soon in that 5 to 10 years, you can go to the assessor site and you can look up certain targeted areas and you can find out when people have bought their homes. You can go to Paragon and look up people that have bought and sold within the last 5 to 10 years, and you could essentially create a cold list of contacts that you could focus on that are more likely to sell than, say, somebody that's bought 2 or 3 years ago, or someone that's been in their home for more than 10 years who will most likely stay in their home for a while. Now, the other group is your last 12 months of clients, right? These are the ones that you are already fresh in their minds. So you want to be talking to them and reminding them that you're still here, that if you haven't had a review from them, to go ahead and ask for reviews, and then provide some of those values based on the homes that they've either bought or sold, because you have a very fresh reference point for all of these people to have those conversations with, to provide value for. Any questions on who kind of the key people are? So when picking these, we want to stick within 50 to 75 because we don't want to take on too many people at once, because then we aren't going to be able to keep track of them and to maintain contact. So if you're new to the business, you could start with that, your top 25, and picking people that most likely have the opportunity to move. And if you've been in the business and you think 75 is too much, just hone it in kind of based on the people that you want to focus on. If you have more than 25 people that you know refer you or will, then just kind of adjust accordingly to there. Okay, so once you have your list, if you have your database and Zaps all set up, you want to pop in there, you want to add them to your CRM, so get them into Zap with as much information as possible. You need their phone number, their email address, and I would use their physical address as well. And then you want to make sure that you tag. So the other thing that I've kind of been on a soapbox on the last year or so is hyper tagging. So add tags galore. So think about when you see on social media and you see those hashtags and there's just like a ton of them. You want to use that similar mindset of tagging in your database so that you can either zoom in or out based on your client. So if you have a client that has kids, pets, that likes wine, and that is a Husker football fan, you want to add those 4 tags. I also suggest adding the tag of the year that they bought or sold and whether they're a buyer and a seller. So if you tag them, all the people that you've done business with in 2020, tag them with 2020, because that way what you can do is if in 5 to 10 years, and you're popping up and you're doing this revitalize your pipeline again with me, you can go back in and find the people that bought in 2020, and now your list is a lot easier to start filtering through. The other reason I love tags is because you can get really nailed down and make people feel special, which is really what we want to do. We are in more of a time frame right now where we don't want to feel like we're part of the masses. We want to feel like you're thinking about and talking about directly to that person, because it's all about those personal connections. And the more you show that you care and that you're knowledgeable and that you remember them, the farther that's going to go than just sending a blanket marketing piece to 1,000 people. So you want to keep that those tags going. And then, pre-COVID, it would be, think of all of the fun, events that we had prior to this. So it was like, if you've got a beer and wine fest, you want to maybe find the people that like beer and wine. And it might only be 5 people that you're sending it to, but the impact of doing those, of reaching out to those 5 people is going to be so much more than if you were to send that to your entire group, your database. Tags are also helpful for keeping track on your end of certain things. So also if, kind of back to before, if someone's even say remodeling or they have they have a baby on the way, then you can add a reminder for later so that you can reach out and not forget to send them something or to reach out to them. So adding them to the campaigns and reminders, there are a ton of campaigns within Zap, and any CRM really has boilerplate campaigns that can be sent out anywhere from 1 day to once a month that go for 6 weeks to 2 years. There's an entire range of things. So play around with some campaigns and then look at them and make sure it's in your voice so that it sounds like it's coming from you and it doesn't sound like it's coming from a computer generated blast. When you're adding those campaigns, you can layer them on too. So you could add, if you do say a newsletter each month, you could add that in addition to say a 2020 mailer list, right? The other thing that you should do is add your reminders. So you want to add birthdays, their home anniversary. You can add a recurring reminder within your CRM to remind you that they bought their house on this day 3 years ago. The other thing that I like to use reminders for are kind of those other little key points that you have when you're in conversation with people. For example, if you have a client that just bought with you this summer whose kid is getting into football, if they're playing football right now, you could set a reminder in your CRM to touch base with them mid-October to see how the season's going. So these are the things that you want to really think about when as you're focusing on these 50 to 75 people. You really want to focus on these. You want to take the time to look at each person and think about the conversations that you've had with them previously and all of the things that you know about them, and add them as tags and add them as reminders. The other thing you can do in any of your CRMs is add notes, and that's going to be just kind of quick reference points to kind of get you launched into when you add them to your CRM. So for example, if I met a potential client through a previous client, I'm going to want to add that in the notes and anything that's important to them. So maybe it's a specific, say they're looking for an acreage that they really need a very specific thing on. You want to add that to the notes. Anything that's not a specific big group tag or something that can be a reminder, you want to add those notes because you're going to be talking to these people quite a bit over the next few months. So you want to have everything in one spot that you can quickly reference so that you're not, so that it doesn't become cumbersome, because the last thing that we want is for this to be a lot of extra work. If we do a lot of work now leading into it, then it's going to just move so smoothly as you go through these next 60 to 90 days. Any questions on targeting, focus, tags, my little soapboxes?
Leslie, question about tags.
Yes.
So you put all these tags, and I like what you said about using the year that they bought or sold. Then next year, I say, I want to know everybody that bought or sold in 2020. Where does that come up? Like, how do you then go find all these lists that you've made from tagging? I think that's just a broad question.
Yeah, absolutely. So with Zap, I'll refer directly to Zap, but other CRMs are going to have a similar feel. So there's typically two places that you can search for a contact. There's one where you can do it individually, usually at the top, or somewhere that's on kind of your main dashboard, is a quick search by name or email address or whatever the case may be. And then there's usually, and with Zap, there's a spot on the left where you can click on your contacts. That will take you to more of a contact dashboard where you can then search and hone it in based on the tag name. So if you've used a tag once, Zap will recommend that tag for you later if you start typing that in. So then you can add and layer those on. So let's say somebody does an event that is a dog-friendly beer and wine festival. You can search for the clients that are tagged with dogs and beer and wine. And then now you've got another honed in list. And then you could even go so far as, different years and different pieces of information. But, it's just
they stay within Zap. I mean, or within the CRM. They stay. You don't have to go outside of the CRM to some other place. Yeah. Okay. That makes total sense. All right.
Yeah, because you could go to Paragon to find that. You could hop into Paragon and search for anything that closed with your 2020. But by honing in the data, it really makes things a lot easier because, it's one thing to say, okay, I'm going to add my client and then I've got to find their email address. I've got to find their phone number in my phone. Now I need to go to the assessor site and find their address. So it's very easy for me to sit here and say, all right, now add these 50 to 75 people to your CRM and then go nuts. It's going to take some time if your CRM isn't already prepped and ready for that. And then it's going to take a little bit of time to make sure that you're tagging people appropriately too. So even though I'm talking very quickly in this arena, this might be where the most work is had. So even if you have, let's say you have all of these people in your CRM and you have their email address, their phone number, and their address, well, now go back and think about how you can tag them. And especially these people too, we're going into fall and holidays. And so there might be some things that might be relevant to certain people. So let's say you have a stay-at-home mom who loves to host Christmas parties in your list. Well, you want to maybe add some sort of tag that lets you know, I don't know, whether it be a holiday tag or event type. Think of a tag that you could use for that person that could relate to other people as we go in. You could put something like recipe tag, people that like to have those different pieces. The other thing you could think about is, say, somebody that needs to maybe remodel, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe that group of people that are in your Make a Move 25 contact list, maybe some of those people have been in their home for 5 to 10 years that are maybe on the cusp of needing to have remodels or things replaced. So then you can start reaching out to them about those items and then sharing certain articles or pieces and items of value based on what you've tagged and what they're specifically individually need.
Cool.
Okay, so what to do with your different groups of people. So this group here is your top 25. So you want to engage with them and with all of them and make sure that they know and have either visited your website or have the app downloaded. So what you can do is the app is not necessarily, and our website isn't just for people that are looking to buy or sell a home right now. What you want to do is you want to reach out to those people and let them know that you have this great app. And if they're interested in knowing what the homes are selling for in their neighborhood, or if they're interested to see what homes are on the market or what's kind of happening, they can play around with those things. You can also say, all right, well, it's Friday, let's see what the open houses are, right? So there's a lot of ways to direct people to your website and your app without making them feel like it's only when they're buying or selling with you, because the app can be useful all year long as you're kind of referencing it and you're using it within your marketing pieces. Send out a magazine subscription. So if you haven't already, and if you don't have that as part of your closing gifts, add that. Start sending that customized magazine subscription. It's only $13.25 for the entire year, and it gets you touch points once a month with your beautiful little picture and your whatever quote. Get them engaged and recognizing you with the brand. So you also want to make sure that you're calling them, you're texting them, emails, pop-bys, newsletters. These top 25 people, you want them to feel special, you want to be top of mind, and you want to make sure that every conversation you have with them is authentic and either relational, providing value, or actually giving a piece of value, because you never want them to feel like you're bombarding them. The second you start trying to sell to them, it's going to make any interaction feel a little bit less authentic. And then they're going to start disengaging if it feels like every time you're talking to them, you're asking for something from them versus giving them pieces of them. The way that this really works, and the way trends are going with marketing, is that we don't want to be sold to. We want to build relationships to have more of a give and take type feeling. And we always want to start with providing value to build that relationship. The people that we're talking about in this 50 to 75 group need to know, like, and trust you. And if you jump in just trying to do the sale right away, that's going to be hard. So if you're re-engaging with these people, you want to have genuine conversations. You want to see how their job is going. You want to see how they've been doing this last year with COVID and how that's affecting them. You want to have, when you first talk to them, you want them to obviously know that you're still in real estate, because that's important, but you want them to feel like, not feel like, because it's disingenuous if we're trying to do this. We're in the relational business. We want to know and talk to people. We like talking with people. And so we want to get to know them and refamiliarize ourselves with some of the clients that we might not have regular contact with. So that also kind of brings me to a point, is if you're already really good at keeping in touch with your clients, then pick a group of people that you want to get up to that top 25. So if you have a solid plan for keeping in touch with your clients, wonderful. Let's pick another group of people that you maybe don't have, or maybe acquaintances that you want to get into that point of having a stronger relationship, so that they can either use you or refer you when it comes up. Okay, so your make a move people. These are the ones that, if they've been living there for 5 to 10 years, they could be getting itchy to move. So a lot of people will end up moving in that kind of 7-year range. So this is really the time to focus on the people that have been living there for enough time that they want to move, but not so long that they are going to stay for longer periods of time. That's why that 5 to 10 year is a really great range, because if you go beyond 10, the likelihood of people staying in their homes is a lot higher, because they've been there longer. So you could be just kind of spinning your wheels in that regard. But we still obviously don't want to forget about them. But for these purposes, we want to focus on the people that could possibly move. So like I had mentioned, you want to kind of scour through your Facebook pages, go through your phone contacts, just to kind of refamiliarize yourself with the people that are in there, and really just think about if you've seen that they're like getting married, having a baby, anything really. Even think about people that have been having to homeschool their children. So you might know that their home might not be best equipped for having, working from home and teaching from home. So you could always give different pieces of value based on this different climate that we're living in too, because some of the people that have been stuck in their homes are finding that their homes are really not functional for them to be there all the time. And so that really is creating a new pool of buyers and sellers that might not have been there had we not been locked up like we were. So really in this arena, you want to start educating, right? So you want to talk about what those interest rates are. You want to talk about how the home values are increasing. You want to give them stats on what's selling in their neighborhood. You want to start talking to them about if they're maintaining their HVACs and their roofs, have they checked it, and how old they are. This might be a time, if they're your clients, to go back and give them some of that information that they might have forgotten about, because you still have access to all of those seller's disclosures from previously that you can maybe reference some of those things and refresh yourself with the transaction that might give you an indication of what needs to maybe happen in this 5 to 10 year range, right? So if their HVAC you knew was older, then you could start recommending or giving them, recommending having them serviced, or giving them options and kind of just educating them on how much things might cost. And then start sending them different, you could send them how to do DIY projects, or, how paint maybe freshens things up. So those are kind of the things that you're going to talk about with these people. The other thing is you again want to make them feel special. And so in this range too, as is with your next group is your clients from last year, is you want to send some notes and be very specific based on their home and their scenario. And then you also want to, maybe when you're out showing, keep those note cards in your car. And if you're in a neighborhood where you've sold a house or you are in, write a quick note. I mean, the Manharts gave me that tip years ago, and I think that it's the smartest thing ever. Keep stamps, your note cards, and a pen so that you can write a note to anyone at any time. Okay, and then our next group is the clients from the last 12 months. So anyone that has really bought or sold with you within the last 12 months is the prime time to stay in touch with them. So if you don't have a system already to stay in touch with them and create your forever clients, now is the time to start with this group, because they are the most fresh in your mind and theirs. So this will be great because you already know what their home's like, you already know what their family is like, these are all fresh in your head because you've spent countless hours in the car writing about 14 offers. So these are the people that you will have the easiest time adding to your CRM if they're not already in, and tagging and adding those notes and asking for reviews. So this is definitely the time, and any time really, is getting into the habit of keeping in touch with those people that you've sold with recently. Provide them any vendors that they might need. So, think about people that you sold to in January and they go, you know what, we probably need to remove this wallpaper. Maybe reach out to them and say, hey, have you removed this wallpaper? If you haven't, here's an article from Better Homes and Gardens magazine about how to remove wallpaper and what to replace it with. Or that wallpaper is coming back in, but here's kind of the refreshing way to do with it, right? So make it very, very specific to them. And also, again, if you haven't done those personalized subscriptions, definitely start doing them. One thing on here that I don't know if I reference in any other portion, but I want to talk about is creating groups within your social media. So this is going to be very helpful if you are the type of person that's on Facebook regularly and that friends your clients. So if you're friends with your clients, and I recommend that you should in certain scenarios, or at least have them added to your business pages, is that on Facebook, you can create a group. Now, it's not a group in the traditional sense that we think of as in a Facebook group where it's a private, people can talk back and forth. This is more of a sorting tool. And so you can create more of a focused list of people that you want to directly see. Because as we know, the algorithms for Facebook and Instagram change constantly. And so the things that we see, we don't necessarily see the people that we don't that we don't interact with often. So you might have clients that are part of your, 500 friends, but you're not seeing what they're posting because Facebook no longer posts to you based on when people post. They post to you based on relevance and interaction and about 100 other different things. So if you create a list, which is a group of people that you want to focus on and see, you can add anyone to a very targeted list. And then what this does is, instead of seeing, the thousands of scrolling things that you could get into, when you click on that list, it's only going to show you the updates that have happened from that group of people that are in that list. So then you can see, okay, now I don't have to do as much work trying to see if anybody is having a baby, getting married, or working from home, because I'm checking that list regularly to see what that group of people that I want to keep an eye on is doing and seeing. So I highly recommend creating those lists for, really for anything. Facebook anymore, you could do your family list, you could do past clients, you could really do anything. Okay, so now that we've talked about the people and the focus list, we're going to talk about what we're going to do. So you want to be doing things every day. This is also to just stay in the habit of checking on what needs to be done every day. So every day you want to pop into Zap and see if there are any reminders or any anniversaries that are coming up. This also will give you information on if they're visiting your website or downloading your app. So this will give you kind of your hub for anything that might be active right now. Because if you're doing all of that work leading up to this and you're adding all of your tags and your reminders and your campaigns, then this is where it's going to remind you to do that. The other thing that I like to do within Zap is I can add a generic reminder. So I have a reminder in my Zap that pops up every week that says, write 5 note cards. So that doesn't have to be attached to an actual person. It can be attached to just generically anything. Weekly. So now is the time, if you do not post to Facebook or social media, start doing that at least twice a week. And you can use it within your business pages or your personal pages, or a combination of that. It's all based on where you're at with your social media currently. And you want to do things that aren't necessarily, you want to be kind of a mix of things, right? So you want to add things that are real estate related that provide value. You want to remind people that you're in real estate. You want to put maybe open houses that are coming up. You want to add any new listings, right? So mix it in between soft pieces of touch points and really heavy, hard, hey, remember I'm in real estate. So then you also have your monthly. So every month, if you don't already, have something that goes out to your clients. You could do a newsletter, you could do community events, things that are happening, say even with interest rates. There's a lot of different things that now's the time to think about how you communicate with all of your clients on a regular basis. So it goes from very, very tiny, we're focusing on the trees, all the way up to what the forest looks like that we can have on a monthly kind of regular recurring basis. If you get in the habit of doing things and checking on it every day, those things that end up being weekly and monthly and quarterly don't feel so big because you're already in the habit of getting in there daily. It's just another task that pops up. Okay, so here's kind of an example of what you can do, right? So I like this because it can be generic or it can be tweaked based on what you're already doing. So again, you can also switch this around too, but like Sunday is a good day to prep, right? So Sunday, if we're not doing an open house or showing houses, most likely we're not doing anything, right? So this is the time to get prepared for your week. So check those groups on Facebook, see what's happening within your target 50 to 75 people. You want to start scheduling your posts within that social media tool on the greenhouse. And also Canva has a social media posting tool that's brand new as well. And then, Mondays, focus on your A+ clients, pick 5 to 10 of them and write a personal note. You obviously don't want to send a personal note every week because it's going to the same people, because it's going to be too much, but keep track of when you send that. So if you write a note to one of your A+ clients, put that into your CRM so that you know the next time you go to pick from that group that you're not doubling down on some people and forgetting about others. Tuesday, Thursdays, pick what you want to do. I mean, if you want to self-promote, do testimonials, any stories that you have, post your listings, and then remind people to download your app and why it's, provide that value. This is great for testimonials too. So if you get a testimonial on Zillow or Zap, turn that into a Facebook or Instagram post or both, and put that out there. There's so many easy tools within Canva that you can do really kind of cool little video animation pieces so that it's interesting to look at, as well as keeps you top of mind. So Wednesdays, do your niche. If you've got, anything that you usually kind of post, go for it. Target your sellers. Make phone calls on Wednesdays. So if Mondays you're writing personal notes, then Wednesday's your day to make phone calls. Intermix that with your texts too. So you can, when you do a phone call, a lot of us don't like to talk on the phone. And so, maybe do that only once every other month or once a quarter, but then shoot a quick text that sees, just kind of checks in, or a funny GIF or something that reminded you of them. And then Friday is great because you can send links to any of the open houses. You can talk about anything that's happened over the previous week. You can pick any of our listings and post those and just have it say even a unique one. I mean, Tim's got that really cool house that he's got. I mean, share some of those pieces. And then at any time throughout your week, keep an eye out for opportunities to reach out to this group of people. Whether that is you're driving through their neighborhood, you see an article that reminds you of them. This group of people also puts them at the top of mind for you. So you're more apt to find certain things that might fit this group of people than your entire database. So they're now top of mind for you as you're trying to be top of mind for them. Any questions? This can be adapted to really anything. So it can be, you can shift it around, tweak, change, whatever you like.
Anybody has questions, just put them in the chat and I'll pick them up and ask them of Leslie, or you can raise your hand in the participants area. Leslie, can I add one thing here?
Yeah.
Because many people feel like super overwhelmed with all of it. Yes. So I love what you're giving, because you're giving specific, like, these are like suggestions. But if you adopt I think if everybody adopts the idea that, okay, there are some things that I can do. For me, and my coach just worked with me this week, I'm a really global person. So I see the big picture, but I'm always like overwhelmed with the little picture. I'm sure many of you feel that same way, like, oh my God, how do I do all this? And he gave me like a little thing that I just put into my calendar, and it just, however many minutes you want to commit to on a daily basis, but just calling it focused activity. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, because I'm not telling myself what I have to do, I'm just telling myself to focus. For somebody like me that doesn't like people to tell me exactly what to do, I love this, because this is like a little menu. Like, I could go to this little menu and say, I'm trying to take a pic. Will you give us all this after?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you can kind of like go to a menu and say, okay, so today it's not Tuesday, but I'm gonna do, Thursday's things. So maybe if you guys write that down, like, put in your calendar, put 5 minutes, put 2 minutes, it doesn't really matter. It's just that gets your attention, focused activities. And I think I love this, that you're fire hosing it to us, but the big in the small picture, which is really where we have to be right now, I think it's really manageable, and you'll see the results will be amazing. So
yeah, absolutely. And that's a good point too, because there's more than one way to skin a cat. And this is, one man's opinion on sports essentially, but it gets you thinking about what your business already is and what things that you can implement. And if you want to take it all in and run with it for the next 90 days, wonderful. You're going to find that it's not only going to pay off with the people that you're actually focusing on, but it's going to launch you into continuing these habits of posting and contacting your clients on a regular basis. It's going to get you into that and constantly thinking about kind of your business, working on the next 60 to 90 days, right? Because the things that we do now are not going to pay off right now. So when we get busy and we stop doing some of these things, like in the summer and the spring, then we feel like we've hit a brick wall when it comes to the fall, and we start kind of panicking and kind of thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know when my next deal is going to be. I had all these people and now there's not. So it's doing these things on a regular basis.
Well, I like that you narrowed it down to like choose 25 people, because at the beginning of this whole 2020 extravaganza we've been in, I remember Buffini and Company. One of the three things that they said that at the very, very beginning was make your world smaller and your value bigger, which is the same thing as anybody that knows me or has been coached by me knows. I always say, try to be an inch wide and a mile deep instead of a mile wide and an inch deep. So that you're specifically just saying, here's how you do that. Like make your world smaller and your value deeper and bigger. And I think most of the agents that are doing really well right now are because they have been doing that for several years.
Mm-hmm. And you can always expand upon it. It's one of I have kind of shiny object syndrome where I'll grab and pick and choose. You know, I kind of get into all of it just a little bit and then kind of have to hone it in. You can always add to these things. Yeah. And one thing I wanted to mention too, Carol, because you did say that, yeah, it's a lot. We're talking about a lot and it can feel very overwhelming. But if you follow these things step by step and you do that prep, like I said in the beginning, if you do all of this prep, which is going to be the hardest part of it, if you don't have a CRM already, then once you get past that, it is going to be like you just push the boulder up the hill and it's rolling straight down. You know, it's just it's gonna fly. The other thing I want to mention too that I don't think are in the slides, but in Canva, you can create, go in and just create 5 different posts, and then you can just alternate them. You can just change the verbiage or change the content, but you have five posts that look a little bit different that you can very easily just go in and tweak when you're ready to post. Part of kind of that prep. So I might tweak that a little bit.
Laura Osborne has a question. How do you create the focused Facebook groups?
Yes, I will. I'm not going to pop in there today, but you know what? I will find either a link with instructions on it, or I'll do another video and send that out. But I believe it's somewhere over on the left in settings. Facebook changed their dashboard view. So I had to kind of poke around for it the other day, but I'll find that and I'll send that out because it's really kind of cool. Even if you want to just create one like for your family. So I like to make sure that I'm keeping up with my Aunt Ruth that only posts once every 6 months. So
April Tucker is a champ on doing that, by the way.
Yeah, totally. So really quickly, I want to talk about the different kinds of posts and the outlets for those, because as we're working through these, we don't want people to feel inundated or feel like they are on a very aggressive campaign with you. So you want to merge in things that are very light touches and very also specifically, I'm in real estate. If you know anyone selling, call me, versus, hey, I found this article for you that I think would fit for you personally, right? So on your business page, whether it's any business page you have, that's where you want to do most of your bragging, right? So this is where you want to be hot and heavy on, I am in real estate and I am an expert and I'm going to show you how I'm an expert. You don't want to just post your listings though. So we can sometimes get in a habit of not knowing what to post. So the only thing we end up posting is listings, and it's very sporadic and not predictable. Well, 2 things happen with that. 1, you lose the interest of the people that are going to your page. And 2, the Facebook and social media algorithms stop putting your content in front of people because the people that get there are not engaging with your site. So this is where you really want to provide a lot of value, show that you're in business, show your expertise, and also share articles and different things from different places. On your personal page, you don't want people to forget that you're a real estate agent. So it's harder to gain traction and screen views on your business page unless you have a lot of really good content. So that's why I suggest using your personal pages also. So in addition to doing this, heavy business page, here I am, on your personal pages, you want to be a little bit softer. You want to be posting fairly regularly, but you want to provide more value to the people that are in your sphere and your friend list that are maybe, articles with recipes, DIYs, use the Better Homes and Gardens magazine to share things. Those are the places where you want to talk about your new listing or be thankful for the clients that you work for, and maybe share a testimonial and your listings here and there. And then, you know, the guerrilla marketing piece, right? So you want to just kind of pop up randomly without them even knowing that you're selling to them, right? So it's, you don't want to be too salesy, you don't want to be too light. It's just a good mix of being that authentic salesperson self of you that also cares about your clients and your family and their friends, and making sure that they have a good experience with a knowledgeable advisor. And then your friends and family. So this friends and family piece is a wild card, right? So this is all dependent on you. If you have a family that will shout your name from the rooftops, then you want to use that to your advantage, and you want to start shouting to them from the rooftops. If you have family that's a little bit hesitant about working with family, then you want to be a little bit softer in your approach. I know that we've got both, right? I have a huge family, and so it's almost like I have to re-engage myself with my family before I can start selling to them, because I have so many cousins and aunts and uncles that I know, but don't necessarily know very well. So you have to adapt that very specifically to what you want to do and how you want to target them. But don't ever let them forget that you're in real estate. We sometimes have a tendency to not want to bug our friends and family, so we don't talk about our jobs and our work and our successes. So you want to do it you want to still mix it in, but think about how your family and friends operate, so that you do it in a way that resonates with them without feeling like they have to roll their eyes every time you call, because it's going to be an ask for a referral. And then this little piece here, as we're leading up, is to use the brand. These are all sorts of different things that you can use that are within Better Homes and Gardens that makes you feel top of mind without feeling top of mind, right? Those magazine subscriptions that I told you about, $13.25, your face right there. If you don't want to do that, you can do a generic one that mails to your client base as well, and that's about $5 for the entire one. And that also, it can have some value too, because if people know that you're Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate, then you can also send that, and they recognize that this is Better Homes and Gardens, so now I think of you, right? Now, there's tons of different ways that you can use the Better Homes and Gardens magazine articles, right? One of my favorites, though, is to rip a page out of the magazine itself and send it to someone that's very relatable, right? Say somebody's redoing their kids' bedroom, and you find an article this month about bedroom remodels, right? Rip it out, send it in a personal note, send it to them and say, hey, I found this. I think your daughter might like this color or this setup, right? Very specific. You can send it in your posts. You can send it through email. You can send it, even post it on your main page. There's just a lot of different things that you can do to keep that Better Homes as top of mind. And then also just kind of get creative with who needs a magazine subscription, you know, your chiropractors, doctors. We kind of go in a whole tirade about this in another video that we did, but there's all sorts of creative ways that you can do to get this out there. Another one is to host a drawing on your social media page, which actually would be really good to kind of re-engage with on your personal page about you, you know, free subscriptions, free cookbooks. Those things are cheap, very, very cheap, but people love them. Okay, now on to your homework. Update your Zap. So even if you don't use our CRM, you still want to make sure that your website is updated on Zap, because people will look you up. Even if you are a warm referral to a friend of a friend, the first thing they are going to do, whether you like it or think it's actually happening or not, we are in such a digital age that even a warm handoff is still going to put that person to the website. So they are going to search for you on Google and what pops up. So Google yourself too. Google yourself, see what pops up. Update your Zap page in the agent websites, just to make sure that when people land there, there's something there. It doesn't look dated, or that you haven't done anything to it. Go into your CRM and add different campaigns and reminders. So add those generic ones I was talking about, and then look at the campaigns and make sure they feel like your voice. And make sure you add your contacts. So add those 50 to 75 people. If you don't have a CRM, this is a great place to start. If you already have a CRM, then this is a great place to go back in and just tweak and look at your contacts, and maybe add those people that you haven't talked to in a while. And then create those Facebook groups or lists. So I'll send something out about how to do that. And I'll send it out, you know, along with the slides from today. And then it's just get going. Start on those Monday to Sun, plan on Sunday and then post Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And that's all I got for you guys.
That's great. Questions, feedback, anything you guys got?
Carol, just briefly, thank you again for being such a wonderful facilitator. And I just have to take this opportunity to say how proud I am of Leslie. She's such a wonderful, amazing talent, and her diverse skill set never ceases to amaze me. And her generosity and her knowledge are boundless. So just so proud, and thank you for everybody who participated. Everybody does such a great job. But Leslie, you're once again, amazing presentation, and I certainly learned a lot, and I thank everybody for participating, but just wanted to say that.
Thanks, Tom. I spent a lot of work on it. Just a little.
You did. That was actually probably a whole day seminar, because that was just a lot of really important information. But if you get nothing out of this, nothing other than I need to do better with being in contact with my clients, you can go back to this incredible map that Leslie just laid out. Honestly, Leslie, top shelf, and refer to it. And there's like, even if you just print off all the slides and just take your finger and go and point it at something with your eyes closed, you got something to do every day to make your business better. Katie Day asked, Leslie, you mentioned the cookbook. Is there a place to order these? And I think somebody else has asked me that before too. So yeah.
So you start in the greenhouse. You always want to be logged into the greenhouse. There's some sites that are direct links to, but if you're not logged into the greenhouse, it won't let you in. So the greenhouse, you go under marketing and then go to buy BHGRE or buy BHG. And that'll take you to another site called buybhgre.com. And that's where you get your magazine subscriptions, your cookbooks. There's also an insider that partners up with Better Homes and Gardens magazine that I'm digging into, that gives you kind of interior design stuff. So I'm digging into that. There's a few different things there.
The Better Homes and Gardens cookbook, I got my first one when I was 19 years old and got married. It was a gift to me. And I'm sure I have it someplace still, all raggedy and full of like splattered food. But I think that is like a really cool thing to give to people because it has nostalgia in it. And you know what? We're still pulling stuff out of our ovens from those recipes. So that's a really easy way to make people happy.
It's a good wedding gift too.
Yeah. Long time ago, a lot of weddings ago.
First time home buyer. It's a good first time home buyer gift.
Yeah. I think it's fantastic. So that was amazing. I'm going to take some pieces out of all this, and we'll probably put together another 72 ATAs just from what you did. But thank you so much, Leslie, for pouring your wisdom on us.
Yeah, just let me know. Reach out. I'll send the slides out, and I'll find specific instructions on creating the list.
And don't forget, you guys, next week, Mike Gandolfo, and you're going to love it. I promise you. We have a couple of surprises for you. So, okay, next week, Thursday, be there, be square. Thanks, Leslie. Thanks, everybody who showed up. You guys rock.